The stars were silent, and the black sea of space stretched without end. John Carter sat inside his small ship, listening only to the hum of the engines. He had been traveling alone for many weeks. Every planet he passed was dead. Every signal was quiet. He thought this journey would be lonely, maybe even boring. But that night, everything changed. Without warning, the ship's radio cracked alive. A sharp sound cut the silence like a scream hidden inside static. John leaned forward, his heart beating faster. The voice came again, broken but clear enough to freeze his blood. "My baby won't wake up. Please help her, human." John's eyes widened. The voice was not human. It was high, trembling, filled with strange echoes, like music twisted with pain. It was the voice of something not from Earth, yet it called him a human. He sat frozen for a long moment. His hands hovered above the controls. Then the voice cried again, "Please, help her, human." The words shook him. Fear rushed into his chest, but so did curiosity. Why would an alien cry for a human? Out of all the beings in the galaxy, why him? He tried to calm himself. Maybe it was a trick, a trap. Many old stories told of pirates and strange hunters in space who lured travelers with false distress calls. If he followed, maybe he would lose his ship or his life. But something in the cry felt different. It was not cold, was not fake. It carried real pain, real desperation. John took a deep breath. His finger tapped the navigation screen. The signal was weak, coming from a drifting location not far away. His mind raced. He could turn away, continue his journey, and forget this strange call. Or he could answer. His heart, against all logic, whispered, "Go slowly." He turned his ship toward the signal as the engines roared. The stars shifted. The closer he went, the stronger the signal became. The cry repeated again and again, shaking his chest. "My baby won't wake up. Please, human." John felt sweat on his forehead. His ship crossed through a dark field of broken rock and floating ice. Then, in the distance, he saw it a small vessel, alien in design. Its surface was scratched, its lights flickering like a candle about to die. It looked abandoned, a ghost in space. His ship's sensors scanned it. No weapons were active, no power readings strong enough for danger. Just life signs, two faint signals, weak and fading. John swallowed hard. His instincts told him this was real. Someone inside was dying. He prepared his docking system. As the ships connected, a deep silence filled the cabin. John put on his suit and helmet, each click of the lock louder than before. His hands shook slightly, but his eyes stayed sharp. When the airlock opened, a strange smell rushed in like metal mixed with flowers and smoke. He stepped inside the alien ship. Darkness surrounded him, broken only by small sparks from damaged panels. The air was heavy and wet, making it hard to breathe. Then, in the corner, he saw her, an alien mother. Her body was tall and thin, covered in smooth, pale skin that glowed faintly under the dim lights. Her eyes were large and shining with tears that floated in the low gravity. Her arms cradled something small, wrapped in a glowing cloth. She looked up when she saw John, and her eyes filled with hope and fear. Her voice trembled as she spoke again. "My baby. She will not wake. Please help her, human. Only you can." John froze. The infant in her arms was still, its small chest not moving, its skin losing color. A cold wave passed through him. He was no doctor, no savior. He was just a traveler. But the mother's eyes begged, pulling him deeper into this mystery. Why? Did she believe only a human could help? What secret did she know? The silence of space pressed against the walls as John stood there, torn between fear and compassion. His heart pounded, louder than the hum of his ship. Something inside told him that this was no accident, that this cry was meant for him. And so, with a single step forward, John entered a story greater than himself. A story of life, death, and the strange power hidden in humanity. The hook had begun. John's breath fogged. Inside his helmet, as he stepped deeper into the alien ship, the mother's eyes never left him. They were wide, glowing faintly in the dim light, filled with both fear and desperate hope. Her long arms cradled the tiny infant closer, as if afraid John might harm it or fail to help. For a moment, neither moved. Only the soft hum of broken systems filled the silence. Then the mother's voice, trembling like glass, broke the air. "You came. You are human. Please save her." John's heart pounded. He looked at the small alien baby, wrapped in a glowing cloth that seemed alive. The infant's chest barely rose, each breath shallow and weak, as if life itself was slipping away. John knelt slowly, raising both hands to show peace. His voice was calm but unsteady. "I will try, but I don't understand. Why me? Why a human?" The mother blinked, and for a moment she seemed to struggle with words. Her voice carried a strange rhythm, but every word was clear. "Because only humans hold the spark. Only humans can call back life when it begins to fade." John's mind raced. The spark. It sounded like superstition, like a legend whispered by frightened tribes. But the way she looked at him, it wasn't superstition for her. It was truth. He reached out, his hands shaking slightly. "I am not a doctor. I don't know your medicine, but I will do what I can." The mother lowered her head, tears slipping from her alien eyes, floating upward in the weightless air. She whispered, "That is enough." John carefully touched the baby's small arm. The skin was soft, thin, almost translucent. It was cold. He swallowed hard. Inside his suit, his hands were sweating. He had seen death before, but never like this. This was not human. This was something fragile, something beyond his understanding. The baby did not move. John's chest tightened. His instincts screamed at him, "Don't let go." He checked his belt. Pulling out his emergency med kit, he found a small oxygen injector and carefully placed it near the baby's mouth. A faint hiss of air entered, but the child remained still. The mother's voice cracked, filled with pain. "No, no. She is leaving." John pressed his lips together, his heart hammered. He thought of all the training, all the manuals, all the procedures. None of them prepared him for this. He wasn't a medic. He wasn't a savior. He was just a traveler trying to survive. Yet, when he looked at the alien mother, he saw something universal. Her fear, her shaking hands. The way she clung to her child, it was the same as any mother on earth. Love, desperation, hope. That part needed no translation. He leaned closer, speaking softly to the baby, though he knew it couldn't understand. His words, "Come on, little one. Don't stop now. Fight, you're stronger than you know." The mother tilted her head, her alien features softening as if she recognized his tone. But still, the baby did not stir. John felt a wave of helplessness crash into him. His throat tightened. For a moment, doubt filled his mind. Maybe this was impossible. Maybe this was the end. Then he remembered the mother's words. Only humans hold the spark. He thought of Earthfolk stories his grandmother told him when he was a boy. Tales of people surviving the impossible, of children waking from comas when doctors had given up, of miracles that science could not explain. He placed his hand gently over the baby's chest. He closed his eyes, his voice trembling. As he whispered, "If there's something inside me, let it work now." The alien mother leaned closer, her breath catching. The ship seemed to fall silent, as if the universe itself was waiting. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then a faint sound. The baby coughed. A weak, trembling sound, but real. John's eyes shot open. He felt the chest under his palm rise, shallow but alive. The mother gasped, her body shaking. She breathes. She breathes again. John pulled back, staring in disbelief. He had done nothing more than hold the child and speak, yet something had changed. Was it really him? Was it really the spark? The baby stirred weakly, its eyes fluttering, open for the briefest second before closing again. Not strong, but alive. Tears drifted upward from the mother's eyes as she pressed her face to her child. Blessed human, I knew it. I knew you would come. John shook his head slowly. His voice was low, almost to himself. This is impossible. But deep inside, he felt it too, the strange weight of something greater than logic. He stood, his eyes scanning the dark ship. Questions burned in his mind. Who were these beings? How did they know about humans? And what did she mean by the spark? The mother looked up at him again, her voice soft but filled with meaning. There is much you do not know, human, our kind. Cannot do what you have done tonight. Your touch calls to life itself. You are more than flesh. You are the bearer of hope. John felt a chill run down his spine. He wanted to deny it, to say it was chance, luck, anything but something mystical. But the truth sat in front of him, the baby breathing, alive, against all odds, and deep in the endless dark of space, John Carter realized his journey was no longer his own. It had just begun. The alien mother held her child close, rocking slowly, as if afraid the breath might stop again. The dim lights of the broken ship flickered across her pale skin, casting long shadows on the walls. John Carter stood still, his chest heavy with the weight of what had just happened. He could still feel the faint beat of the baby's heart against his palm, as if part of that life had touched him too. He wanted to speak, to ask questions, but the silence was thick. Finally, he broke it. What did you mean? He asked quietly. Why only humans? Why me? The mother lifted her gaze. Her eyes glowed faintly, like small moons filled with sadness and memory. Her voice was soft, but every word pressed deep into John's mind. Because long ago, your kind showed the galaxy something no other race could. Something we cannot explain. Something we cannot create. The spark of life. John frowned, his brow tightening. The spark. You said that before. What is it? Energy. Power. Some kind of force. The mother shook her head slowly. Not energy. Not power. Something deeper. When our medicines fail, when our machines fall silent, there is still one chance. A chance that comes only from humans. John stepped closer. You're saying? We can heal what your people cannot. She nodded. Your touch, your breath, your will to protect. It carries more than flesh. It carries hope, and hope awakens life. John felt his stomach twist. He wanted to laugh at the idea, but the baby in her arms proved otherwise. The child was alive because of something he adores, something inside him. He remembered the stories his grandmother told back on Earth. She had always said humans were stubborn, always fighting for life, even when hope was gone. Could it be more than just human spirit? Could it be something real? The mother closed her eyes for a moment, speaking as if telling an old tale. There was another time, many cycles ago. Other people were dying. Their skies turned black, their rivers turned to poison. They prayed to the stars for help. No one came. But then, human came. John's eyes widened. A human. From Earth, yes, she whispered. He should not have been there. He was lost, like you. But he gave them something we could not. he gave them strength to stand, to live. And when he touched their dying children, they woke, just as mine has. John's mind raced. He had never heard such a story. Earth's history spoke of wars, of inventions, of space travel, but no tales of humans saving alien worlds. Unless those stories had been buried, forgotten, hidden by time. He crossed his arms, speaking firmly. That sounds like legend. Stories told to give comfort. The mother looked at him, and her voice turned sharp. Do you think I would beg a stranger to hold my child if it was only legend? Do you think I would trust you with her life if I did not believe? We know the truth. We remember. And now, you have seen it with your own eyes. John had no answer. He looked at the baby, sleeping weakly but alive. Doubt still burned in his mind, but the evidence was clear. Something had happened. Something beyond medicine, beyond logic. The mother's voice softened again. We call your kind the life-bearers. Oh, Jews. You are more than travelers. You are protectors of the spark that no science can create. John took a step back, his hands clenched at his sides. The words felt heavy, too heavy. He was just one man, a pilot with no great mission, no great destiny. And yet, here was this alien mother, speaking of him as if he carried the power of gods. His voice shook. I didn't save her. I just held her. I talked to her. That's all. And that was enough, the mother whispered. Your presence was enough? Do you see now? It is not about what you do. It is about what you are. The room fell silent again. The hum of the failing engines echoed faintly through the ship. John rubbed his forehead, trying to think clearly. If what she said was true, then humans were not just another race in the galaxy. They were something different. Something the universe needed. But if that was true, then why had no one told them? Why had Earth lived blind, thinking they were weak compared to the stars? The mother watched him, her eyes calm now, but filled with something deeper respect. You question it? That is good. But one day, human, you will understand. You are not here by chance. You were brought here because the spark must survive. John stared at her, his mouth dry. He wanted to argue, to demand answers, but the truth was already shaping in his heart. He remembered the baby's faint cough, the sudden breath of life returning. No machine, no drug, just human will. He turned toward the dark window of the alien ship. Stars outside shimmered like cold diamonds. For the first time, he felt their weight, not as a traveler, but as something more. Something chosen. He whispered to himself, barely audible. What if she's right? What if we are more than we think? Behind him, the mother hummed softly, rocking her child. The sound was strange, alien, but also gentle, almost like a lullaby from Earth. John closed his eyes. The mystery of the spark was now his burden. And deep inside, he knew this was only the beginning. The air inside the alien vessel grew colder. Broken wires sparked faintly along the walls, and the steady hum of the ship seemed weaker with each passing minute. John Carter stood near the mother, staring down at the tiny infant. For a moment, relief had filled him when the baby had coughed and breathed. But now the breathing was shallow, again too shallow. The child's chest rose, then stopped. A pause. Then another faint breath. John's stomach tightened. His hands turned cold inside his gloves. The spark had returned once, but it was slipping again. The alien mother clutched her child tighter. Her long arms trembled, and her large, shining eyes looked at John with fear that cut deeper than any words. She is fading again, she whispered, her voice breaking. John dropped to his knees beside them, pulling open his medkit. He pulled out an oxygen capsule, snapping it into a small mask. Carefully, he pressed it against the baby's face. A hiss of air flowed, but the chest barely moved. He bit his lip hard. "Come on, work. Please work." The mother's voice grew louder, her tone desperate. "It is not enough. Machines cannot give what she needs. Only you, human. Only you." John's hands froze. He looked up at her, frustration burning in his eyes. "Don't know what you want me to do. I'm not a doctor. I can't fix her." Her tears floated in the air like tiny, glowing crystals. She shook her head, clutching the baby close. "You already touched her once. Do it again. Call her back." John's heart pounded. He felt sweat drip down his neck. He had no idea what he had done before. He hadn't followed a procedure. He had only spoken, held her, willed her to live. But was that enough? Could that really save a life? The baby's breaths grew weaker. Each pause between them stretched longer. John's chest tightened, as if his own lungs were failing too. He pulled the mask away, tossing it aside in frustration. No, I can't let this happen. He lifted the small alien child into his hands. The skin was cold, the body limp. His fingers trembled as he held her against his chest. His voice shook as he spoke, not to the mother, but to the baby. "Stay with us. Please, don't let go. You're stronger than this." The mother watched, her hands covering her mouth as if afraid to breathe. But nothing happened. The child stayed still. A wave of fear rushed through John. His heart felt like it was breaking. What if she dies in my arms? What if I fail her? He shook his head violently, trying to push away the doubt. "Come on," he shouted, his voice echoing through the broken ship. "You hear me? Don't you quit on me." The baby's chest rose slightly, then fell still. John froze. The silence was heavy, cruel. His throat closed as his heart screamed inside him. The mother let out a low, broken cry, a sound that shook the walls. She bent forward, rocking as her tears floated upward. "No, my child. No." John's eyes burned. His fists clenched around the tiny body. "No, not yet. Not like this." Memories flooded him. He saw his little sister back on Earth, lying in a hospital bed when they were children. Doctors had said she wouldn't survive the night, but she had. She had fought through, not because of machines, not because of drugs, but because their mother had stayed by her side, whispering, refusing to let go. John's eyes widened. His breath shook. Maybe that was it. Maybe the spark wasn't science at all. Maybe it was the will. Not to surrender. He closed his eyes, pressing the baby closer to his chest. His voice grew soft, trembling but filled with determination. "You are not alone. Do you hear me? I'm here. I won't leave you. You're safe. Breathe, little one. Please, breathe." The silence stretched. Seconds felt like hours. The mother's sobs filled the room, low and broken. Then a faint shudder. John felt it against his chest, so small he almost thought he imagined it. Then another. A tiny breath, weak but real. His eyes flew open. Yes, that's it. Keep going." The mother gasped, her tears freezing in midair. She moves." The baby's chest rose again, stronger this time. A soft cry escaped her tiny lips, weak but alive. John let out a long breath, shaking all over. His eyes blurred with tears he hadn't realized were there. He whispered, his voice breaking. That's it, little fighter. You're still with us." The mother reached forward, trembling as she touched her child's face. Her voice was barely more than a whisper. "The spark is true. It is real." John sat back, still cradling the child, his heart pounding like a drum. He had come so close to losing her. He had felt the cold grip of failure, of something. Inside him had pulled her back again. He didn't understand it. He didn't know why. But he knew this was no accident. The mother pressed her forehead to the baby's, closing her eyes in relief. Then she looked at John with a gaze filled with gratitude and awe. "Do you see now, human? You fight even when hope is gone. That is why you are different." John didn't answer. His mind was storming with questions. But his heart knew one truth. This was not the end of the struggle. It was only the beginning. The silence of the alien ship felt heavy, like the weight of the whole universe, pressing down. John Carter sat with the baby in his arms, his heart racing. The child had breathed again, but the breaths were still weak, fragile. Like a candle about to flicker out, the alien mother knelt close, her long arms trembling. Her eyes never left John. She whispered, as if afraid the sound itself might break the fragile thread of life. "You saved her, but she is not strong yet." John nodded, his throat dry. He could feel it too. The child was alive, but barely. Every rise of the chest was a battle. Every breath a question. Will there be another? He closed his eyes. Doubt clawed at him. He had no tools, no training, no reason to believe he could do more. He was only a man, far from home, holding a life that did not even belong to his world. Yet, the mother's words echoed in his mind. Only humans hold the spark. John swallowed hard. He tightened his hold, placing the child gently against his chest, where he could feel the faint rhythm of her heart. His voice came out soft, steady, carrying both fear and hope. "Stay with us, little one. Don't give up now. You've come too far." The mother leaned closer, her strange hands resting on John's shoulders. Her voice trembled with both desperation and belief. "Keep speaking. She hears you. She feels you." John nodded slowly. He remembered when he was a boy, sick, with fever, lying in a small bed on earth. He remembered his mother sitting beside him, whispering softly all night long. She hadn't left him, not for a single moment. And somehow, against the doctor's predictions, he had survived. Not because of medicine, but because of love that refused to let him go. He lowered his head, whispering to the infant in the same way, "You are not alone. I'm here. Your mother is here. The stars are watching you. You are stronger than you know. Fight, little one. Fight." The child stirred faintly, a small twitch of her tiny hand. The mother gasped, covering her mouth. As tears floated upward in the low gravity, John's voice grew firmer. "That's it. Keep going. Take another breath. You can do this." For a moment, nothing happened. Then another breath, longer this time. A soft cry escaped the baby's lips, thin but alive. The mother sobbed with joy, her alien voice breaking into song-like tones, a cry and a hymn at once. She reached for her child, her hands trembling as she touched her small face. "She breathes. She lives." John felt relief flood through him, but he didn't stop. He continued speaking, continued holding, as if afraid letting go of his words would let go of her life. His voice was steady, almost commanding. "You belong here. This is your world. Don't stop now. Live." The baby's breathing grew stronger. Her chest rose and fell in rhythm, steady and real. The faint color returned to her skin, glowing softly in the dim light. Her eyes fluttered open, for just a second bright, curious, filled with something pure. John froze, staring down. For the briefest moment, those eyes looked into his, and he felt a shock run through him. It wasn't just survival, it was recognition. Connection. The mother let out a cry of joy so sharp it echoed through the broken walls. She lifted her child from John's arms, holding her close, pressing her face against the tiny body as tears of relief poured freely. "My daughter, my star, you are alive." John sat back slowly, his hands trembling. His chest rose and fell, as if he had run miles, though he had not moved. His eyes burned, and he wiped them quickly, shaking his head in disbelief. He whispered to himself, "I didn't heal her. I just refused to let her go." But deep inside, he knew it was more than that. Something in him, something human, had reached across the void and pulled life back from the edge. The mother turned to him, cradling the child against her. Her eyes glowed with gratitude, with awe. "You see now? You understand. This is why we call your kind life-bearers. Machines cannot do this. Medicine cannot do this. Only the human spirit can call life back." John shook his head slowly, his voice low, uncertain. "It doesn't make sense. I'm no hero. I'm just me." The mother smiled faintly, a strange but gentle expression on her alien face. "That is why it works, because you do not see yourself as great. Yet greatness flows from you, not in power, but in hope." Her words struck deep inside John. He looked down at his hands, still trembling. Hands that had held the child, hands that had done what no machine could. He felt the truth pressing on him, a truth too large to ignore. The baby made a soft sound, a tiny laugh that seemed to cut through the heavy air like sunlight through a storm. The mother rocked her gently, humming a soft melody, her tears still falling. John leaned back against the wall of the broken ship, letting out a long, shaking breath. For the first time in his life, he felt both smaller and larger than he had ever known. Smaller, because the universe was vast and full of mysteries he could not understand. Larger, because within him was something that could touch even those mysteries. The miracle had happened, and as John looked at the alien mother and her child, he knew this was more than survival. This was proof that humanity carried something unique, something that even the stars respected. It was not strength of muscle. It was not the mind of science. It was the simple, stubborn, unshakable will to protect life. And that was the true human miracle. The alien ship drifted silently through the void, its engines weak, its walls scarred by time and damage. Inside, however, a quiet miracle had already unfolded. The child now breathed softly in her mother's arms, her faint glow returning. John Carter sat nearby, exhausted but unable to look away. For a long time, no one spoke. The only sound was the baby's gentle breaths, like music in the silence of space. Finally, the mother looked up, her large eyes glimmering with something beyond gratitude, something like reverence. "You do not yet understand what you have done," she said softly. John shook his head, his voice rough from fatigue. "I only held her. I only spoke. That's all." The mother's gaze sharpened. "To you, perhaps. To us, it is a power beyond all things. Do you know how many worlds have tried and failed to create what you just gave freely? Do you know? How many species envy the spark within humans?" John frowned, his arms crossing over his chest. "You keep saying spark, but you never explain it. What is it really? Some kind of energy, some kind of magic." The mother shook her head slowly. "It is not magic, it is not science. It is the force of will, the spirit that refuses to surrender. Humans carry it more strongly than any other beings we have ever known." She paused, her voice dropping lower, almost like a confession. "Long ago, before even my people traveled the stars, there were whispers of your kind. Small, fragile, limited by flesh. And yet, always standing back up when struck down. fighting even when defeat was certain. Other races survive through strength, through technology, through unity. But humans survive through something greater, the belief that life must continue, no matter what. John listened, his chest heavy. The words made him uncomfortable, like a crown being placed on a head he did not want to wear. That doesn't make us special. We're just stubborn. We refuse to quit. The mother leaned closer, her glowing eyes locked on his. Yes, that is exactly why you are special. Stubbornness, as you call it, is life's greatest shield. When all else fails, when hope dies, when the body is broken, it is the human refusal to let go that brings life back. She looked down at her child, who shifted softly in her arms. When my daughter stopped breathing, my medicine failed. My songs failed, my prayers failed. But your presence, your touch, your voice, they pulled her back. This is why we call you life bearers. John rubbed the back of his neck, shaking his head. He remembered all the mistakes of humanity wars. Greed, destruction. He remembered Earth's history, filled with blood as much as hope. You talk like we're chosen, but you don't know us. Humans can be cruel. We destroy as much as we protect. The mother nodded slowly, her expression solemn. Yes, we know. You carry both shadow and light. But that is why your gift is greater. Even with the darkness inside you, the spark shines. And when it shines, it can save worlds. Her words cut deep. John looked away, his eyes falling on the stars outside the cracked window. Could it be true? Could his people, imperfect, flawed, divided, really be something more to the universe? The mother's voice softened, almost like a story told to a child. We have ancient records passed down through generations. Records of humans appearing in the darkest times of other races. Not armies, not leaders, just individuals, ordinary ones. And yet, they changed everything. They brought back the dying, lifted the fallen, lit the fire of hope when all else was gone. Again and again, history remembers them. John's chest tightened. Why doesn't Earth know? Why haven't we heard of this? The mother's gaze darkened, her tone sad. Because knowledge of your gift was hidden. Some feared it. Some envied it. If the galaxy knew what humans truly were, many would seek to control you, to use you. So the stories became whispers, then legends, then forgotten. Until now, John's stomach turned. The idea of being hunted, not for his ship or his knowledge, but simply for being human, chilled him. The mother reached out, one trembling hand resting lightly on his arm. But now you know, you have seen it yourself. And soon, others will know too. You cannot hide from destiny, John Carter. You are proof that humanity carries the spark. John stared at her hand on his arm, then at the baby's peaceful face. Elias. Mind was a storm of disbelief, fear, and wonder. He wanted to deny it, to call it myth, accident, coincidence. But the child's breath, the child's life argued louder than any doubt. He whispered almost to himself, if this is true, then humanity isn't just another race, we're something more. The mother nodded slowly, her voice steady, filled with certainty. Yes, you are the light in the dark, the fire that refuses to die. The galaxy may not understand it, but it will come to see. One human at a time, just as you have shown tonight. John leaned back against the wall, closing his eyes for a moment. He had never wanted greatness. He had never asked for destiny. But destiny had found him anyway. In the form of a child who now slept safely in her mother's arms, and as the stars drifted silently outside, John Carter felt the weight of a truth that would follow him forever. The revelation was clear. Humans were more than explorers. They were the guardians of life itself. The alien child slept quietly, warm in her mother's arms. The broken ship was still, as if holding its breath after the miracle. John Carter stood by the window, looking out at the cold stars. His reflection floated over the dark, glass, mall, tired, human. And yet, for the first time, he felt larger than the space around him. He remembered the first cry through the radio. "My baby won't wake up. Please help her, human." Those words had changed everything. They had pulled him into a story he never asked for. But now, he knew it was a story he could not leave. Behind him, the mother whispered a soft song to her child. It wasn't a language John knew, but the meaning was clear. Love, thanks, life. "Her breathing is steady," John said quietly, checking a small scanner. "She is weak, but stable. We should take you to safety." The mother nodded. "There is a quiet station in a nearby belt. Old, but safe. We can repair there." John moved to the control panel and linked his ship to the alien vessel. The systems fought him at first wires. Burned engines hissed but slowly. The screens showed life again. The docking cables tightened. The two ships were now one, moving together through the dark. "Listen," John said, turning to the mother. "What you told me about humans being life-bearers, that is true. There are dangers. Others may come. Others may want to. Take us." The mother's eyes dimmed with worry. "Yes, there are those who fear what they do not control. They call your gift a weapon. They will search for you." John's jaw tightened. "Then we make a choice now. We protect this secret, at least until we know who to trust." The mother held her child closer. "I will protect it with my life." The twin ships drifted forward, the stars sliding across the window like slow rain. John watched their path, checking the scanners again. A faint signal flickered on the edge of the screen, small, fast, distant. He frowned. "We're not alone." The mother's head lifted. "A hunter, maybe?" John said. He tapped. "A new route. We'll move through the shadow of a dead moon. It will hide our signature." The damaged vessel shuddered as the engines adjusted. The lights flickered once, then steadied. The baby gave a tiny sigh and fell deeper into sleep. Inside the cabin, a heavy quiet returned. It wasn't empty anymore. It was full with meaning, with fear, with a new kind of hope. "Tell me your names," John said gently. "If I am to protect you, I should know who you are." The mother lowered her eyes for a moment, as if touching a memory. "My name is Sira. My daughter's name is Elia." John smiled faintly. "Sira, Elia. I'm John." Sira repeated it slowly, as if memorizing a sacred word. "John, the first human I have met. And perhaps the last I will ever need." He looked away, embarrassed. "I'm not special. I just didn't want to let her go." "That is exactly why you are special," Sira said softly. The scanner beeped again, fell silent. The unknown signal turned away. For now, they were safe. John released a breath he hadn't noticed he was holding. "We'll reach the station in an hour. I can transfer power, repair your hull. After that, Sarah finished. You will choose where your path goes." John thought about Earth. He pictured blue oceans and white clouds, the slow turn of continents, the cities with bright lights that looked like stars when seen from space. He thought about his grandmother's stories, his sister's laughter, the hands that had held him when he was weak, life-bearers maybe. The galaxy had given humans a name long before Earth gave itself one. "Part of me wants to go home," he said, "to warn them. To tell them we are more than we think." "And the other part?" Sira asked. "The other part wants to keep flying," he said. "To find others who are in the dark, to help. If I can." Sira smiled, a soft and strange curve of light. "Then do both." Carry the spark wherever you go. And when you return to your world, carry the truth as well. John nodded slowly. Well. He adjusted the controls, guiding the linked ships around the dead moon. For a moment, the stars vanished behind the curve of cold rock. Then they opened again, sharp and endless. Sira looked down at Elia and whispered, "She will grow strong. She will learn your story. She will teach it to her children." John turned, surprised. "My story?" Sira met his gaze. "Not your name, not your face. Your choice. You moved toward a voice in the dark. You risked yourself for strangers. You believed life could return when all signs said no. That is the story our children must learn." John didn't know what to say. He looked at Elias Maul, sleeping. Alevin felt the weight of something that would outlast him. "Will your people accept this?" he asked. "That a human saved one of your children." Sira held her daughter with gentle pride. "I will tell them what I saw. Some will doubt. Some will fear. But many will remember the old whispers. They will know the truth has returned. And if others come hunting." Sira's eyes hardened. "Then they will find a mother who does not run. And they will find a human who does not surrender." John gave a small, tired laugh. "That they will." The station appeared at last, a ring of metal in the dark, quiet and forgotten, circling a small gray world. John slowed the ships, sent a signal, and guided them into a docking arm that shook but held. Lights flickered on across the station, waking like old eyes. He rose from the chair and turned to Sira. "I'll bring tools. We'll seal your hull and restore your power." Sira stood carefully, Elia safe against her chest. "And when we are strong again, we will carry your story with us." John paused at the airlock. "Then carry this as well," he said. "If you hear another voice in the dark, human or not, to answer it. That is how the spark spreads." Sira bowed her head. "It will be so." John stepped into the docking passage. The metal groaned under his boots. He felt tired down to his bones, but inside, the tiredness was a fire that nothing could touch. He was one man in a vast night, but he did not feel small anymore. He reached back and pressed his hand to the doorway. Sira lifted her palm and placed it against his through the glass. For a heartbeat, human and alien stood connected, two lives. Three, carried by one choice. "Goodbye for now," John said. "Not goodbye," Sira answered. "Only until we meet again." He smiled and moved on. Outside, the stars watched in silence. Somewhere in that silence, rumors would begin. A human who walked into death and brought breath back with him. A mother who sang to the dark and was answered. A child named Elia, whose first lullaby was the heartbeat of a stranger. These were not the stories of heroes with shining armor. They were the stories of hands that would not let go. That was the legacy. And as John Carter stepped into the station's light, he knew this truth would outlive him. Humans were not just travelers. They were keepers of the spark, carrying it from one small life to the next till the whole night knew it could shine.